An attack by Israel on Iran would almost certainly plunge the Middle East into another bloody conflict. But for months now, Israel's Prime Minister and Defence Minister have been seriously considering whether that's the only way to prevent Tehran acquiring nuclear weapons. At the same time, the war of words between Jerusalem and Tehran has become ever more extreme and intransigent. Gideon Levy is an Israeli journalist and columnist for the newspaper Haaretz. Gideon Levy, welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure.
Is Israel really about to attack Iran's nuclear facilities?
Anyone who would answer this question would be not a serious guy. Nobody knows except of 2, 3, 4 Israelis. But it seems very dangerous. Yes, the rhetorics of the last weeks and months might lead to an attack, and it might even come without any planning. I mean, it was a lot of planning, but it can also go out of control because of the deterioration in the rhetoric, which becomes in the last weeks really very, very aggressive.
Why has what has always been a contingency for Israel now come so close to reality, do you think?
Because the experts claim that the window of opportunities is getting closed, because Iran continues both with the rhetoric, the very aggressive and threatening rhetoric on Israel on one hand, and continues, according to the intelligence, continues to develop its capabilities. And the experts claim that it's now or never.
Now, you have said that this would be an avoidable war. When rhetoric does become so elevated, when hostility escalates to such a degree, don't things reach a point where there can be no turning back? Perhaps haven't Israel and Iran possibly reached that unfortunate point?
I hope that not yet. I mean, still the risks of an attack are so big, the danger, the price, and the most unexpected factor, because everybody can maybe claim that he knows how will such an attack start, but nobody knows how will it end, how will it terminate it from the point of view of Israel and from the point of view of Iran. Don't forget that all the experts are united in claiming that any attack, as successful as it might be, will be able only to postpone in 1 or 2 years the developing of nuclear weapons in Iran. So the question is really at stake. It is, does it worth it? Is the risk not too big? And above all, one should ask himself, maybe there is no other choice but to live with a nuclear bomb in the hands of Iran, like the world learned to live with a nuclear bomb in the hands of Pakistan and North Korea, both quite dangerous regimes.
What about public opinion in Israel? Does your view represent what the majority think, or do most people, most Israelis, favour an attack?
First of all, never in my life I was with the majority, so you can automatically guess that if I'm so reluctant, if I'm so opposing any attack, so the majority would be with the attack. But the matter of fact is that the public opinion in Israel right now is rather confused. People know too little. People are brainwashed in a way by all the threats and the fears which are spread. And all the polls show that there is 40 to 50% of Israelis, there are 40 to 50% of Israelis who would support such an attack, but they know so little about it, and above all, they know so little about the price and the consequences, that I wouldn't judge it according to the public opinion right now. The real trial, the real exam will be after, God forbid, this will happen. Then the Israelis might realize that maybe it was a mistake, but then it will be too late.
I wonder about this. What should we read into the warning from the former head of Israeli military intelligence, Major General Aharon Ze'evi Fakash, not to attack now? What is the force of what he's saying?
Not to attack now, first of all, because you don't go for such an operation without the support of the world, and above all, without the backing of the United States. And the United States is on the eve of new elections, as you know, and there is a very, very clear demand from the American administration to postpone it in any case after the elections. And I don't see any Israeli prime minister saying no to an American president. And if this happens, this will also have very, very serious consequences on the future of the relations between the United States and Israel. Remind you that Israel is so dependent on the United States like maybe never before.
But what can the United States do to make it even more clear to Israel that an attack on Iran is simply out of the question?
Until now, the Americans did anything almost possible to try to convince the Israeli decision makers not to go for it. There was a whole convoy, ongoing convoy from the United States, from Secretary of Defense until senators and others who keep on coming to Israel in the last months, one after the other, begging the Israelis not to do so. But, you know, finally one should remember who is here the superpower. The United States is the superpower, and I believe that a very, very clear no by an American president doesn't leave much choice to a rational Israeli prime minister.
You say that the consequences of an Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities is unknowable, but Israel has destroyed nuclear facilities in the Middle East before, Syria 5 years ago, Iraq in the 1980s, and that did not provoke war. Why would it be any different now?
It's uncomparable. It's totally uncomparable. First of all, Iran is much a stronger country with many, many more facilities and means and a much stronger military than both Syria and Iraq together. Secondly, they reached a stage in their development which neither Iraq nor Syria had reached at the time. And above all, the Iranian rhetoric toward Israel is much more threatening than neither Syria nor Iraq had never talked about exterminating Israel. Iran does.
A rather grim question to conclude. If you were betting on it, do you think there will be an attack on Iran within weeks, or do you think it is still possible to avert such a course of action?
I would say that I think that the coming weeks will guarantee us that nothing will happen, but the danger is still here, and these clouds are over our heads, all of us, Israelis and Iranians. And even if I tend to think now that it will be postponed, I will not fall from the chair if it will happen tomorrow, in 1 week, or in 2 weeks. I might fall from the chair for other reasons, from a missile which will fall on my head, but that's something else.
Gideon Levy, thanks very much.
Thank you.